Hello. Today we are starting the discussion with the question, how do you provide a safe and supportive environment for your clients to disclose and discuss their abuse experiences? And I think this is a really important question. So many different things come up. One of them is just the therapeutic allegiance and alliance, just the having a really safe connection that's established with each client individually, knowing their personalities and starting to understand who they are. And I know that we'll talk so much about this, but also because I'm in Denver for the psychedelic science conference, I guess, this week. That's another thing that I'm really curious about, the use of psychedelic assisted therapy, specifically things like MDMA, which are really being researched around PTSD and different abuse because of the serotonin and oxytocin and dopamine that get dumped into your brain during those experiences, and just create a feeling of safety to be able to talk about really hard things and to feel safe in those times. And I'm really excited about the research that's going on there and just really hopeful about what that means. So anyway, I'll start there.
Nice. Thank you for that. I as you mentioned that before we started rolling the recording, I have to like immediately say my mind went to, CIIS as an institution is not immune to this, to situations where the therapist may be the perpetrator of abuse. And so I just wanted to bring that into the conversation for a quick moment. There's a short, I want to say 6-episode podcast, the name of which I can't recall at the moment, but I'll put a link in to below our video regarding that specific situation for CIS students who might not be aware. That's an important thing to bring into your holistic understanding of, I think, the therapeutic world. But it's also not unique, right? And so I'm thinking about abuse experiences from the perspective of the therapist. And then I also was thinking about abuse experiences from the perspective of, say, if we're working with a child who is being abused by the very person who's having them go to therapy in the first place. And all these experiences where we as a therapist may, I don't know, have split allegiances almost, or how do we work with what is and what some of the laws or expectations may have of us. It's something without a clear answer. And yeah, that's just where my mind's going when I hear this question. Is I value all the times in which there's an obvious answer, and then there are many times I'm noticing where there isn't. The final thought I have here is in a recent semester, I went through mandated reporter training. And so how do I make it feel safe for somebody to disclose abuse who may not be ready for that to kind of get turned public? But if, as a mandated reporter, I may have to share that information with another party. And so to what degree do I let the person know ahead of time, if you share certain information with me, I need to turn it over. I don't have a choice there. I mean, the choice would be to put my own career into jeopardy. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. Also, were you talking about the podcast Cover Story?
That's right. Yes, Cover Story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I listened to that when it came out. I think it was probably almost 2 years ago now. But definitely linking it would be really really interesting for anyone who's curious about this.
You know, yesterday yesterday or the day before, I was having a conversation with a cohort about how this stuff can just naturally come up, especially as we're in doing all the material and we're doing all the readings, and how a simple invitation makes a difference. So inviting people to expose as much as they want, allowing people to take the pace that they want to creating a trust environment. I've had a couple experiences with some of like experientials we've done in class where maybe material has come up from my own life that was quicker or faster than I wanted it. And there wasn't like a container left for it. And it almost let me realize like, okay, trusting relationship becomes the first thing that you've got. And I'm doing the White Affinity Alliance group, and one of the things that somebody said was, you only have you're only an ally if someone says you are. And I think this applies in the same way to this, is like, you have to first let somebody know you're an ally, and it's clear which, like, that has to be established in some ways. How do you create a safe container? Is you create a safe container, and then what comes up will be what's appropriate for someone to come up. So
so good, so good, Julie. I would totally love to talk more on that, but I'm gonna just segue that into our next question, because we'll run out of time if not. The next question that we're going to talk about is, how do you empower your clients to make informed and healthy decisions about their safety and well-being? And kind of just to bridge what you were saying with this question with my own answer, I think that explicitly inviting them and rechecking in as things are being shared and saying, how is this feeling? Are you still feeling safe? Do you want to go slower? That's something that I even do now with my clients in practicum, is constantly reminding them that this is their space to feel safe, and what do they need from me, and how can I support that for them?
Yeah, I would say, like, I guess what you're describing, Caroline, would be like attunement, kind of like to what you think they're feeling, or like kind of like reinforcing that they have boundaries. I think about the reading about how mutual aid is like a big thing that I'm looking forward to trying to integrate in the future, but just kind of like meeting the person where they're at, and like trying to fill in the gaps of what they need to have their like well-being be like at its highest potential, I guess. But yeah, I think attunement is the one that I think of the most.
Great word.
When I hear about well-being in general, I'm thinking about like letting the client lead on what well-being means to them. I suppose letting them lead on what safety means to them to a degree as well. But I'm thinking a lot about my multicultural counseling course and the time we spent on looking through the lens of folks who are disabled or differently abled, and just the pressure, I suppose, that that one feels in a disabled body to consider oneself broken in dominant culture. And so to flip that on its head and to adopt a more liberatory psychology lens would possibly be to let the person themselves dictate what well-being looks like, and what the desired kind of journey towards that well-being, what that would look like.
Huh. Oh, I like that you said that. Yeah, I in the readings this week, as we've been reading about it, and I keep thinking about how finding your strength base is the best way into being willing to open up to other ways of well-being. So knowing what your values are is what I heard you saying, and then also too finding your own strengths and your resources, and then being able to come up with maybe shared goals of what somebody wants, instead of, and then maybe what I said earlier, invitation. Would you like another practice? We can explore X, like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very aligned to the first question too.
Yeah, I have a last thought there too, which is, it's looking back at the actual way the question is written. How do you empower your clients to make informed and healthy decisions? I would return once again to like these identity markers that may be shared or not shared between me and the client, in any case where they're not shared, maybe even where they are shared. I mean, bringing in more voices that share that identity marker may give the client, like, I'm empowering them to make informed decisions by bringing information to them that isn't just me, right? Particularly in cases where I don't share their identity marker.
Beautiful. Thank you all. So grateful to have this chat today.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye.